This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar. And today is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. And it's the 26th day of Kislev, which is the second day of Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. And the weekly Torah portion is Miketz, which usually is. Shabbos Hanukkah is usually, with rare exception, it's Parshas Miketz. And today's Daf Yomi is Zevachim 93. This is a lunar and solar calendar and other calendars as well. It's a Daf Yomi calendar, a Julian calendar, and what I've presented it as a theory of everything presented in calendar form. And there's a variety of uses for this mathematical work, which functions as a calendar, and it also functions as a mathematical tool to analyze the way Tanakh has been laid out, specifically in chapter and verse form. And there's been debate and topic and debate and questions about who gave them the verses and chapters, if it came from a Christian source. At the end of the day, it's the verse and chapters that everyone uses. And I've had a question for a very long time that in the age of how should I call it, the free press or a democracy or just open or free speech, you can print whatever you want, basically, unless it's illegal, of course, or something that hurts somebody. But certainly in the case of the Torah, why should it be that if rabbinical sources disagreed with the fact that Christians had printed, or they had redacted and edited and put into chapter and verse the Torah in a Tanakh in a certain way, certainly they'd have the prerogative, the choice, the ability even, so to speak, or theoretically, to reprint it. Why would they have to settle for the way some Christian bishop broke up the chapters and verses? And why didn't they reprint it? And I never really got an answer to it. I don't think there is really such a clear answer. So what I concluded is that there is, in Hebrew they say, min hashemayim. Min hashemayim means from heaven, or hakol mishemayim. Now the words hakol mishemayim and min hashemayim, everything is from heaven or from heaven, have the same numerical value. It's 485. So, I concluded that whoever put it together, Jew or Gentile, there must be some reason, min hashemayim, from heaven, from God, that the Torah and the Nevi and the prophets and the writings have the chapters the way they do. They're not always the same. At some point in Tanakh, in the first chapters, they are the same. In Genesis, Exodus, they seem to be the same from what I checked. But I think in Deuteronomy, it might split off a little bit. And throughout Tanakh, it might be off by a verse. And in the Psalms, I think it's that when it would say the heading, like Lam Natseach Mizmor LeDavid, I think in the Christian Bible, they make that just like a header. It's just a subject line. It's not really a verse. And so because of that, many times, but I don't know if that's the only reason, but that's certainly the reason that I detected, one of the reasons. But in any case, whatever the case may be, even if it's a verse off, they're still very close. And the question was asked, if Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 20 says a certain thing, and any Orthodox from Jew will say what it says there. They'll read it in Hebrew. They'll say, Heilon Israel, Heilon Esov, and it will be printed in the Chumash. The way a Christian bishop put it together. Why would the Jews tolerate that? Why would a Jew accept that? I haven't gotten a good answer. So my speculation is that it's from Shemayim, it's from God, and that Hashem, God, the will of God, wanted it to be that Leviticus chapter 25, verse 20 would say what it says, and if a Christian person opened up their King James Bible, it would read the same thing. But what I would like to explore, and what I have been exploring and find out, is why is there inherent meaning in numbers that are connected to the content? The reason why I mentioned Leviticus 25, verse 20, is because that is the verse that this calendar is based on. That and others. But that's, if you look at the calendar very closely, just look at the calendar, you'll see that it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It goes 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9. That's how it goes. So it goes 8 plus 9 is 17, plus 8 is 25, plus 9 is 34, and there is you might call a cutoff point or reset line or a line of demarcation or an equator. And that equator is the number 40 for many reasons. In terms of what's pertinent to this explanation is that the word Goel, Gimel, Aleph, Gimel Vav Aleph Lamed, Goel, is written more times in Parshas Bahar than in any other parsha. I once counted it was like 19 times. I think it appears in the next parsha, which is sometimes put together, which is Bechukosai. It's also written several times. Maybe more also than the average parsha. But for sure, Parshas Bahar has the most times. And since it's dealing with the Redeemer, the word 40 is very appropriate. And that's just one of the many reasons. But 40 is the line of demarcation. What does that mean? It means that when you go 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9, and you hit 40, it resets it. Kind of like a combination lock. When you turn a combination lock, and when you come to 40, it goes back to the beginning again. So this is how the first line, horizontal, is called an Erev. In Jewish law, there's something called an Erev and a Shti. Some people call it a Shesi. In the yeshivish world, I would say Shesi, but it's Shti ve'erev. Shti ve'erev means vertical and horizontal. There are 8 shtim. Okay, that's as if I said 8 columns, and there are 10 erevim. This is shti ve'erev. There are 8 shtis and 10 erevs. That makes 80 boxes altogether. However, it accounts for 90 days, which is 3 months, which I'll get to it after this. But first I would like to explain why the sequence code is 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9, cut off at 40, 8 plus 9. This is how the first erev goes. 8 plus 9 is 17, plus 8 is 25, plus 9 is 34, plus 8 is... It would be 42, but no, it resets at 40. So it's 8 is 2. 34, then 2. 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 plus 8 is 19. And 19 plus 8, and 19 plus 9 is 28. Okay. That's the first Erev. Okay, so why does it do that? Why is it going 8 plus 9? I'll read the verse that gave the inspiration for it. Okay? The inspiration is this. Concerning the sabbatical year is when a farmer, someone who owns land agricultural production must stop. They must let the land lay fallow for a full year. People can take whatever's there, whatever's on the ground, or whatever falls from the trees. It's a free for all, open for everybody, and no sowing and no reaping for 1 year. And Leviticus chapter 25:20, which is fascinating because this is the year 2025, the reverse of those numbers, when this started to be presented every single day. Since July, or Tammuz of this past year, July in 2025 and Tammuz in 5785, which is last Hebrew year, every single day this has been presented. So it's coming from the verse 25:20, and this year is 2025. That's fascinating, I think, in its own right. But anyway, the verse says, "V'chitom ruman ochal b'shana hashvi'it." You may say, what will we eat on the seventh year? Hein lo nizra v'lo ne'esov et tevuatenu. We have not planted, we have not sown, nor have we gathered, nor have we reaped our produce, our grain, our tevuah. Verse 21 says, "V'tziviti et birchati lachem b'shana hashishit." I will command my blessing for you in the sixth year, means a year before Shemitah. Ve'asat et tivuah l'shalosh hashanim. And it will produce, it will make produce for the 3 years. Shalosh hashanim, which is interesting. What's the 3 years? Why does it just say for 3 years? That's a different point, but we can look at that later. Uzratem et hashana hasheminit. Okay, so now we are given the promise that the sixth year it will produce for 3 years. That means obviously 6, 7, and 8. Right? Seems that way. I will command my blessing. Well, I mean, there might be those who disagree with that. I mean, if you want to look at the actual literal things, I will command my blessing in the sixth year. It can also mean I'll command my blessing in the sixth year and it won't take effect until the 7th, 8th, and 9th. I mean, how do we know that it's really 6th, 7th, and 8th? Well, yeah, we can talk about that. But that's not the main point. The main point that I'm bringing for this calendar, it doesn't matter how you interpret these verses. What matters is the number that the verse says, which everyone knows that 6 is 1 more than 5 and 1 less than 7. And that's the same level that I'm working on. You can be at any level of philosophical or religious belief, and that won't matter because the numbers always are exact. So it says you will plant in the 8th year, and then you will eat your tevuah yashan. You'll still be eating from the old grain, old produce, ad hashana hatishit, until the 9th year. Ad bo tevuata tochlu yashan, until the new crop, the new produce comes in, you'll be eating from the old. But the verse stops with the word es hashana uzratem es hashana hashminit. You will start to plant in the 8th year. Okay, remember that number, 8. Ve'achaltem, and you'll be eating from the old grain until the 9th year. Planting in the 8th year, you'll be eating until the 9th year, and it stops there. 8 and 9. 8 and 9. And back in 2012, when this calendar was made, those verses just kept repeating over and over again. It was the words 8 and 9, 8 and 9, 8 and 9. I couldn't stop thinking about 8 and 9. And then somehow that repetition, that meditation of 8 and 9 slowly developed the intellection, I don't know if that's a word, but the ideation, the actual concept started to build that this is a calendar. It came to me, this is a calendar. This is the PL-89 Gematriatic calendar. And all kinds of things came out of that. Sprouted forth, to use a pun. It came forth, it grew out of this, many things that were 8 and 9, and things which I never even knew about that had to do with 8 and 9 came forward. For example, it was said before that there are 80 boxes here, and in the 80 boxes, it actually accounts for 90 days. That's 80 and 90, 8 and 9. This is also the same format as the 72-letter name of God, which is derived from Exodus chapter 14. That's for a different time because the time is running short. I want to get to one explanation that applies only to today. I won't have time to get to the Exodus passage, so maybe we'll do that next time. So I'd like to keep these a little bit less, like 20 minutes or less. I'm almost there, so 15 and some change. So we'll leave it at that. That's where you get the 89 from, and we'll explain the other thing the next video, God willing. For now, without explaining the rules of dispensations, I'll just say that today, the 26th day of Kislev, or the 26th day of any month, it's because it's a lunar and solar calendar, but it's many calendars. It's about 4 or 5 calendars working simultaneously. I included the Islamic calendar, it's a Julian calendar, it's a Daf Yomi. Daf Yomi doesn't have its own calendar, but I mean, you can use it as a Daf Yomi calendar. And the particular relationship between the Julian and the Gregorian, which I explained in previous videos, and we'll explain again, God willing, is important. And so the 26th day of any month, so today is the 26th day of Kislev, 5786. It's always going to be right here. In the coordinate would be, the Shti would be H, would be Ches, and the Erev would be 7. So 7 and 8. Shti v'Erev. Shti and Erev. X and Y. Or is it Y and X? I forgot which one. X, which one's vertical and horizontal, but horizontal. I think X is vertical. But anyway, and so when you get to 36 here, what's really amazing is that I did a word. Here's how this is supposed to work. The time and what we learn and all the information that flows in the time is all. It could be scripted. So this word lamo came up today. Lamo generally means to them, although there are specific times in Tanakh when it means singular, to him. And it can only mean to him. You can't even stretch it. And I'm not referring to the Genesis about Eved Knan, Eved Lamo. I'm talking about that. That could be seen as plural. Okay. 36 plus 40. The rule of 40 is another rule. It's a long rule to explain, but I'll just keep it short. If you add 40 to any number, it stays. It's a rule in this calendar. If you add 40 to it, it stays that. So 36 is 76. But 76 equals Lamo. And Lamo came up today. So it's really interesting that on the 26th day of Kislev, you're in box 36, and the word that came up today, and I should mention that I did not plan it that way. I did not look at my calendar and say, it's 36, let's see what's it going to be, let's add that, okay, let's pick that word. No, the word came up, and only afterwards do I see that it was on the calendar. Those have a stronger element. Now, I'm not discounting the fact that I might do that sometime. But it's a little bit less in value because it's me intending to do it. It's not so cool because I chose it myself. This is where I didn't choose it. It appears afterward. So I did a word study, and I'm involved in this word study today. So it's called, and maybe the next few days or weeks to come, the word lamo does appear in the singular sometimes. And I focused on one particular verse, which comes from the book of Job, chapter 40, verse 4. I'll read it. Here it is. In Hebrew, it's Hen kaloti ma ashiveka, yadi samti lemo fi. It says, behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I put my hand to my mouth. The words that would correspond to I put my hand to my mouth are the words Yadi Samti Lemo Pi. This is Job talking, I put my hand to my mouth. There's no way this can be plural. The word Lemo here is singular. And what's interesting is that there are other verses that I could have chosen from today, but I chose this verse. And here's how the beauty of this PL-89 calendar is supposed to work, is that because it is today, the 26th of Kislev, and I chose that verse, I look at this this is called the shti, the vertical line that in which we're in today. It's on box 36. What chapter is this in Job? It's in chapter 40. Where is 40 on this calendar? It's directly under 36. How many verses are in that chapter of Job 40? There are 32 verses in counting. Look at Job chapter 40, you'll see 32. It doesn't matter what type of Bible, it's 32 verses. 1 second, I want to make sure that's true. Let me check. Okay, I'm glad I checked. I have a Old King James Bible, and there, Job chapter 40 has 24 verses in it. But I'm glad I checked it because I found that discrepancy, something even more miraculous and amazing has occurred. Okay, I'm trying to demonstrate how these shtis and these Arabs, they contain information about the day. And like I randomly picked out this random, I say, random, but to my knowledge it's random. And what I'm seeing is that in this line, I see Job chapter 40. Today is the 26th of Kislev. By the way, it's also December 16th. I should mention, that's a whole other thing, but I want to keep this, I've already passed 20 minutes. What's amazing is this. Look, Job chapter 40 is here. You go up the line, you're going to see 32. There's 32 verses in the Jewish Bible, in the Tanakh, in the Chabad.org Tanakh. That's a big difference to me. Like 8 verses difference. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, in the King James Bible, it's actually verse 24. It's much shorter. So 32 is right here, but guess what? It doesn't matter because 24 is also here. In the King James, it's 24, and in the Chabad one, it's 32, but they're both here. That's amazing. I mean, and not only that, but the verse is verse 4, and guess what? 4 is also in the same line. All the numbers that I dealt with today regarding this Job passage, including the word itself, lamo, which according to Rule of 40 is 76, which appears in box 36, all of those numbers were in shti ches, the 8th shti, or column, but I'm using the word shti for this. So that's an example of how the gematriatic quantum mathematical calendar should work. That you analyze the structure of Tanakh based on this mathematical formula, but the numbers, the way they're placed, I've seen in so many things in terms of like the Mishkan, it said like 20 beams, and then 40 if you're looking like in Exodus and also in Ezekiel. The numbers are placed in certain ways that it looks like it's much more. How should I say this? When I created this, I had no idea what I was creating. I had no idea. I was just kind of receiving something, but more and more things are unfolding from it on the daily. So basically, that's one example of how it should work with that. That's only the Hebrew date. That whole Megillah that I said before is just about the Hebrew. Now the English date is December 16th. The 16th day of December is going to be where is it? It's going to be in 31, box 31, 16th, 17th, 18th. The shti in the Arab is going to be F. The shti is F, and the Arab is F or Vav, shti Vav, and the Arab is going to be Zayin. Okay, I'm sorry, no. Shti Vav and Arab Vav. Okay, brings you to 31. And so the two numbers for today are 36 and 31, and then you add them together, which makes 67, right? 67. Yeah. At 67 is Bina. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't always. It's sometimes you don't always have. I mean, I didn't have anything much for the English one today. I mean, but I think that's it for now. Yeah, 25 minutes. That's a good amount of time.